Hello and welcome to designing isometric shapes using an isometric grid in Illustrator. We are going to be learning how you can quickly change 2D shapes into 3D. So you can take this boring old guy and turn it into something a little more intriguing, like this gentleman here on the right. This will allow you to create interesting logos. You really have a lot of potential here to create engaging, unusual shapes that play with your sense of perspective and 3 dimensions. You can even take simple building blocks and repeat them to create these patterns and these backgrounds, which are very similar to the Dutch illustrator MC Escher, who I'd highly recommend checking out for some inspiration regarding isometric illustrations. Once you've mastered the essential building blocks of isometric illustrations, you can start to create more complex and engaging images like this, which you can use on your website or in print. Let's get to it. We are going to be learning how to create this humble cube. And the humble cube is the building block of every great isometric illustration. First, we must open up an isometric grid. I've included in the description a link to an isometric grid and some other useful tools for creating these types of illustrations. Once we have our isometric grid, we've got to understand how a cube is made. It is comprised, of course, of 3 faces. We have the left face, the top face, and the right face. And the key here is understanding how these will appear on the isometric grid. So if we bring up our isometric grid back up, we can start drawing on it. So if we just draw a simple diamond shape, aligning it to the grid, we can see that this creates the top face for our cube. The next step is to create the right side, and we have to imagine what the right side will look like in an isometric way. There's no simple way to do this apart from practice and studying what isometric shapes look like when you translate them into these projections. So there we have our 3 sides. We can color these to give them a little more depth and understanding of where they are in relation to each other. And that is how you make a simple isometric cube. Now I hear you say it's just a cube. What can we do with that? But as soon as we have a cube, we can start creating logos. Perhaps you just want to add some text. And you've got yourself a little logo. We can shrink this down a bit, position it, and you've got the start of an interesting brand here. Another thing that we can start to do is, once we've got our shape, is repeating it. So we can just literally drag it over like this, create a few of those, and start interlinking them together. And as you can see, we're starting to get a really engaging pattern that could work very well as a background for some sort of retro or electronic-based theme. And in conclusion, that is how you create an isometric shape using an isometric grid. Remember to check out the resources in the description and come back again for another lesson.